We're being sold to all the time, but have you ever really stopped to think about the subtle strategies at play? Some of the most effective sales techniques are so perfectly woven into our daily lives that we barely even notice them. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the art of strategic selling and see how it really shapes what we decide to buy. You've heard this a million times, right? At a coffee shop, at a drive-thru, maybe even this morning. It seems like such a simple, harmless offer. But what if I told you that it's not just a friendly question, that it's actually a calculated move in a much, much bigger strategic game? Yeah, that seemingly innocent question isn't just about selling a little more coffee. It's a super smart technique. It's a key piece of a much larger strategy that's designed not only to boost revenue right now, but also to build a lasting relationship with you, the customer. All right, so to really get what's going on here, we need to open up what I like to call the seller's strategic toolkit. Inside, we're going to find a few key tools that businesses use, and each one has a very specific job. Okay, first up is something called add-on selling. This is where you're offered something extra that actually enhances the item you're already buying. It's like when you buy a new pair of leather boots, right? And the salesperson says, hey, you should grab this polish to keep them looking great. It's a simple way to add more value to what you were already getting. Then you've got cross-selling. Now, this is a little different. Instead of enhancing the original item, it's about suggesting related but separate items. So you're buying a new laptop, and they suggest, hey, how about a case for that, or a wireless mouse? You weren't necessarily looking for them, but they definitely go with your main purchase. And that brings us to the big one, upselling. This is truly the art of persuasion. It's all about convincing you, the customer, to go for a slightly better, more feature-packed, and a more expensive version of the exact thing you were already looking at. It's not about adding something extra. It's about upgrading your original choice. So let's just quickly break this down so it's super clear. With add-on selling, you're enhancing the thing you bought, like that extra shot of espresso. With cross-selling, you're adding complementary items, like the laptop bag. And with upselling, you're upgrading the item itself, like getting the phone with more storage and a better camera. See? 3 different goals, 3 totally different approaches. Okay. So why bother with all this? Is it just about squeezing a few extra bucks out of every sale? Well, not exactly. The real goal is actually much, much bigger than the profit from one single sale. The most forward-thinking companies are playing the long game, and the ultimate prize is something called customer equity. You see, it all boils down to a huge shift in thinking. The old way, the sales perspective, was just about one thing, making as much money as possible on a single sale. In fact, our source material calls this poor customer asset management. But the modern relationship perspective, that's all about working together to create value, building trust, and actually forging a real, long-term connection. And that's where this idea of customer equity comes in. It's the ultimate goal here, and it's not just some business buzzword. Think of it this way. It's the total value of all of a company's customers over their entire lifetime. It's about seeing people not as one-off sales, but as valuable assets for the long haul. And this visual really lays out how it all works, step by step. See, it starts with keeping customers and making sure they're happy. That satisfaction, in turn, builds genuine loyalty. And it's that loyalty, nurtured over time, that grows into real, measurable customer equity for the business. It's a powerful cycle. And when you build that kind of loyalty, oh man, the benefits are huge. A loyal customer spends more over their lifetime, sure, but the relationship itself becomes a valuable asset. It also massively cuts down on customer acquisition costs. I mean, get this. It's literally 5 times cheaper to keep a customer you already have than it is to go out and find a new one. And on top of all that, those happy customers become your biggest fans, bringing in new business just by word of mouth. All right, but there's a fine line here, right, between being helpful and just being pushy. So how do the pros do it right? Let's get into the art of the suggestion. Well, our sources actually break it down into 4 key steps. First off, you got to make them comfortable. Build some trust with just a normal, casual conversation. Second, be subtle. Nobody likes feeling pressured. It's about gently explaining the value. Third, and this one is a really cool psychological trick, you assume the sale. You act as if they've already committed to the main purchase before you suggest the add-on. And fourth, mention discounts. A great deal on something related can be a seriously powerful motivator. So when you put all of this together, the right technique, that focus on the relationship, a nice subtle approach, what you get is more than just a sale. It's what we call a win-win.
Look, this is not a zero-sum game where for the seller to win, the buyer has to lose. Not at all. When it's done right with the customer's best interest at heart, strategic selling creates a situation where both sides walk away feeling great about the whole thing.
So here's the bottom line. For the business, you're looking at more revenue, sure, but more importantly, you're building loyalty. At the same time, for the customer, you're getting real value. Your needs are being met better, you feel understood, and your satisfaction goes way up. That's the perfect balance. There's this one quote from our source material that just hits the nail on the head. The second purchase is more significant than the first. And why is that? Because that second purchase is proof. It proves that the first interaction wasn't just a transaction. It was the start of a real relationship. And all of this leaves us with one last big question to think about. In an age where algorithms and automation are taking over, making more and more of these suggestions for us, what role is left for genuine human connection? How do you build that trust that makes it all work? What really is the future of the relationship in business?